If Peter were now instead of Putin, you wouldn't be sitting like this.
Here she is, the mysterious Russian Nazi soul. How interesting it is with you.
Glory to Russia.
Great, this is generally ideal, just gorgeous.
Will Ukraine be Russian or deserted? That's what I can tell you. Oh, hello.
It was great.
I'm here for your help.
Then we're all a little bit.
Yes, you are. Swickle.
I'm from Kiev, Izvitki.
I'm from Vladimir.
Vladimir, I understand. You can.
Do you know where it is?
Yes, you can even talk about history. This is Vladimir.
If you want, you can, of course. I am, and only by education just.
Who?
The historian.
Great, who?
Historical education.
You who yes, means, founded in water.
I don't need to be examined, but please don't exam me.
So it's just a matter of getting hooked, to get the gist of it.
Vladimir founded it. Vladimir. Fortunately, not Putin.
Yes, fortunately. And Vladimir. And who is Vladimir?
In the sense of the Russian prince.
Russian. And what was it called in general, in principle? There were ordinary princes, but what was he like?
In terms of, like, chasing him, in short.
No, well, prince is in principle, prince is a general concept, and we say.
Fr. The Grand Duke, the Great, the Russian Grand Duke, yes, I mean.
The Grand Duke.
About this?
Grand Duke of Kiev, you wanted to say?
No, he became the Prince of Kiev later.
Later, yes, he was first a governor, and then became the Grand Duke of Kiev.
Well, yes, because then the capital was moved to Kiev at some point.
Who moved it where?
I mean, did they move the capital to Kiev when Kiev was annexed to Russia?
When?
I don't remember the year.
I mean, are you a historian by education?
A historian by education does not necessarily have to remember all the dates.
Elementary. You won't remember elementary dates.
According to you. Do you know the date? Do you know the year?
The year of what? This mythical, legendary crusade means in the year 882.
That is, so it didn't happen.
Of course.
So it didn't happen.
Of course not.
So, what was it like then?
Was it? It was so that we know only from Igor as a verified character, we know the story, and then all this is half myth, half legend, half incomprehensible.
No, I agree that everything that was there conditionally before the 12th century is yes, it's a myth.
Not. No, until the beginning of the 10th century, all that was legends.
Well, I would say even a little more, but like, in principle, we can't say that even what was in the 15th century, what was written there for years or somewhere else, that it literally was.
Not.
In the same story, in any case, the winner's right, as you know.
No, we can check it from other sources there, Byzantine, Arabic and Scandinavian. We can double-check this information. And just the same with Igor, we understand that he existed because he is in all these sources. Everything else, everything that happened before that, is only a tale of bygone years, which was described in the 12th century, and this is much later than the 9th century. Here is this prediction. And yes. So what is the point of this? So what's up with the Grand Duke of Kiev? What other yes in Russia founded the Grand Dukes of Kiev?
The Grand Dukes of Kiev founded cities. The city where we founded Ukraine, for example. As you like this, the city?
I don't know that. I know, for example, who founded Yaroslavl.
I'm not a historian, dude, of course, my god, fuck.
Oh, you don't bet.
No, like, yes, of course I am. I'm just looking at you for such a thing there with a fight flag all law what?
In the federal wanted list it is. God, tell me, that's where this primordial lie is embedded in the Russian mentality, in the Russian soul, that's always. Here I read there for the 16th century.
Not in Russian, and in Russian?
No, Moskovitsky, yes, there is neither Russian nor Russian, there is Moskovitskia, so that's it.
When there is no Ukrainian there is.
Moscow, and the mysterious movement?
If you say so.
Mortgaged, what is what?
If you say that, then no, it turns out there are no Ukrainians, there are only Russians. Like, if you're talking, no, not.
No, 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 there are Ukrainians.
And how does a Ukrainian differ from a Russian, please tell me.
What is different in everything.
Yes, well, literally.
Literally, it's fine if you want to literally.
By points.
Everything is clear on the points. Look, so the publication of 1861st year writes the following means.
Right now.
Without that, I'm just in my own words. So Ukrainians differ in physiognomy, language, character, customs. Absolutely don't give a fuck. Anyone.
They will tell you that Ukrainian is a dialect of the Russian language.
No.
The same way.
Any fool can say that, but not a linguist. Linguists clearly distributes these languages into different categories and simple ones. To the Eastern means refers to the Eastern Slavic languages here, but not the same thing. So this is very important.
And genetically, do you know that we have the same haplogroup?
Yes, genetically, moreover, genetically we are nowhere at all.
You know that, theoretically, Russians and Ukrainians are the same people we are. We have the same one, the group.
No.
Do you know what a haplogroup is?
Yes, this is a general concept that applies to this group. We are with the Irish and with all these peoples, we are one people in this one.
No.
Yes.
No.
And there are diploid and haploid. Do you know what it is?
Yes, I know.
No. You're out of luck, you're out of luck. I'm a historian and biologist by training, so you have.
Fucking dicks by education.
Yes. So you're not going to try to rub anything for me here. But I know, you know who? I know Balanovsky. Balanovsky more precisely. Russian, who clearly writes that Russians as such, well, that is, this is the concept of Russian, writes the following: in the late Middle Ages, the process of Slavic colonization took place in the vast Eastern European plain at that time was not inhabited by Slavic-speaking tribes. Finnish, Baltic, possibly Iranian, Turkic speech sounded in these open spaces. Anthropology, for its part, confirms this by the fact that in the modern Russian population there are distinct features of the so-called substrate anthropological types. The main one is the Finno-Ugric substrate layer. Everything is an anthropological type before the Slavic population spoke Finno-Ugric languages. In the anthropology of the Russian population, it is mainly caught by the couples of the most diverse substrate groups before the Slavic population. Russian gene pool on the Russian plain. Balanovsky clearly writes in his book that there was no Slavic population before the 15th century in these territories just as such. Here, and this, well, and then.
And then our blessed ancestors came to this land.
And then.
Or that's it. And you cut out everyone who was against it.
Yes, perfect.
What's the problem?
Perfect.
What's the problem?
Ivan III, Vasily, some kind of Vasily and Ivan Vasilyevich.
Well, yes.
Destroyed a new one, Pokrovskaya.
Then he came, otherwise he cut out everyone who would have been and who was against, yes.
Yes, all of them, Batuin to this confirmation. The 8th year, and in that.
No, problems.
And the fact that nothing has changed in 500 years is that you are further so.
A lot of cheating. Unfortunately, we no longer have Petrov. If Peter were now instead of Putin, you wouldn't be sitting like this.
Here she is, the mysterious Russian Nazi soul. How interesting it is with you.
In Russia.
Great. This is generally perfect, just Chicardos. Listen, tell me, please tell me.
I'm kidding.
Please tell me, no, this is not a joke. 1708th year you cut out Baturin. You have completely destroyed the hetman's capital along with all its inhabitants. What you said is pure.
And that something was done wrong.
Everything is so, yes, everything is so, in the spirit of Nazism. Well, there was just no such thing then. Well, in principle, yes. Well, yes, in the spirit of modern Nazism. So nothing has changed in these 500 years. Here Ukrainians cannot understand in any way that Russians and I are not exactly one people at all, they are two opposites.
Please separate Russians and Russians. Please separate these two concepts.
And yes, this is citizenship and nationality, this is the 6th concept of course. Listen, I share the Muscovites as well, it's just that Muscovites are all contributing to this term. So here we are with Dnepr.
Or Chechen v. Buryat or Chechen, Muscovite.
Buryatia Chechen is not included. You know that. This.
Only Russians.
Although no, Muscovite, well, they were narrow-eyed there back in the 16th century. These are the inadequate ones who attacked neighboring regions and robbed, and then quickly ran back. Basically yes, it's all going away, it's all going away. Simple.
Now, you understand, you just said literally, because of this, our blessed ancestors had to annex all the territories around.
You didn't have to.
The same
Caucasus. Your ungodly ancestors destroyed the local peoples somehow and said. He said, just because they're not poor swamps brought little, there were richer territories there. And on this, what's his name, in the east, these nomads just lived there, these Yakuts are there, well, all these nomads who almost did not give any resistance, well, they are scanty. It was enough for them to send some Cossacks there. They captured a couple of dozen units there for a couple of dozen a year on the territory, and there is nothing to do there at all, but there is no need for big ones here.
Everything is clear.
We need big armies here. And you, of course, are an educated people here. Europe is already beginning here. Civilization is already here. Naturally you want to.
And that is, Russia is not Europe.
Well, listen, no one wanted to capture the swamps, that's why you survived as such. Well, you made your own this.
Please answer me the question, is Russia Europe or not?
With how much, on what grounds it should?
In a different way, okay. Russians are a European people, is Russian culture a European culture or not?
Culture, listen, look here to what now I will remember, before I don't remember to what exact period, but there before Russia it was definitely believed that Europe ends on the Don here, there, this Don goes here. But Europe is there.
But this was.
And then it will be brought there a little bit further like. Here, but how much is that?
I've got you here.
I'm telling you, how much did it count? Then that's civilizationality. Here, that is, there was no adequate civilization beyond the Don, they were already some kind of barbarians. That's why it was thought so when European travelers went there back in the 16th centuries, they did not write that Samoyeds lived there, that's what passed by itself, that is, they're on well, it's in the north of the modern Moscow region, to the north there lived the very food that they generally ate their meat and so on and even themselves sometimes. Here there lived some other tribes, there lived some people there Moxel, here maybe I don't remember who wrote before the Tatar tribes. That is, there is so much like if you read these all there Eberstein, Schlichting, who else is there? You are simply horrified by these customs that were in the 16th century on the territory of modern Russia. That's naturally this Europe. Now we thought that something had changed in 500 years, but it has passed closer. In the 21st century it is modern. Practically nothing has changed. What are you saying?
Closer to modernity. I'm telling you, Russian culture. This
didn't change anything.
European culture or not?
I changed it. As I believe, no.
I'm asking you.
What do I think? No.
And what then? Asian?
In the spirit of Asian, do you know why? Because you once read about the capture of Prague their 1794th. The storming of Prague is so called. That's when there seems to be a riot by the Russians.
I'm just a 68th only. Dude, I'm like, do you know what this is?
What kind of European city is this?
This is Prague, where I lived for 2 years.
Super. So that's it.
I just read the 8th one, I know something about 1700 without a clue.
1790 what? 1794 are Russian, so these are the soldiers who stormed Prague, so you know what was expressed when well, the Europeans and even the soldiers themselves who took part in it, what they wrote about it later, this is all in free access. So the following were written. That's who writes. Von Klugen writes here. Von Kluge.
Are you reading this? And are you reading this now?
Well, I want to quote. No, I want to quote. Look, so Von Kluge writes, remembers that we were shot at from the windows of houses, from roofs, and our soldiers breaking into houses pacified everyone who did not come across them. Bitter and the thirst for revenge has reached the highest degree. The officers were no longer able to stop the bloodshed, there was another massacre at the bridge. Our soldiers fired into the crowds without making out anyone, and the shrill cry of women, the screams of children terrified the soul. It is rightly said that spilled human blood excites a kind of intoxication. Our fierce soldiers saw in every living being the destroyer of ours during the Warsaw Uprising. There is no excuse for anyone. Our soldiers shouted and insulted everyone without distinguishing between age or gender. And the following is written by another participant of the assault: Lev in Galga to the very Bila at every step.
And what was the first one's name?
Von Klu. K.
No, first.
Von Klugen.
This. But you're the second one you said.
No, and now I'm just thinking of reading the second one. Lev Eligard. And he writes.
Two beautiful Russian people.
And so he writes all the way to the Vistula. At every step, the dead of every rank were visible, and on the shore of it were heaps of the bodies of killed and dying soldiers, residents, monks, women, children. At the sight of all that, a person's heart freezes, and the scoundrel's gaze was such a disgrace to the diminished inhabitants. These are even the most Russian soldiers, well, those soldiers.
Russians, yes. Once again, please read the names and say again that they are Russian.
No, by the way, who is this von Klugen? This is so von Klugen right here.
Russians?
Yes, there was a lot in the service of the Tsar, there was a lot.
I'm aware of that.
Local.
That they were in the service of the Tsar does not make them Russian.
Well, they didn't serve the Russian Empire, it's not that important, you know?
Well, yes, of course.
That is, this is what the Russian does with them. And you know, for all this good, even a reward for hard work and bravery was established. So.
And what is it? Can I, wait, and can I ask you, what kind of war was it? Like when we captured the truth in 1794, you said, right?
Here's a medal for your efforts, for bravery at the capture of Prague on October 24, 1794. What kind of war is this?
The war, please tell me.
What kind of war is this? This is the suppression of Suvorov. Suvorov suppressed this uprising or not? Now wait, I'll tell you. Yes, this Polish uprising of 1794 is the suppression of the uprising. After.
The Polish uprising in Prague.
After made Poland means.
Another one.
Not everyone was happy naturally. The Kosciuszko uprising, right?
So.
Here you are.
The uprising is this, isn't it? I get you, okay.
Well, there is some kind of binding going on.
I didn't know they were coming in there to the right.
In general, the whole essence of the whole fable is that nothing changes in 500 years or more. As if you were not Europe, no, you are a barbarian population.
As we were, so we have remained and always will be. Russians are just like you have always been Russian, and you will always remain Russian.
This.
Unfortunately.
It's only in your sick head that this can come out, but we have never been, in principle, we will never be any Russians and the like. This is it, remember this forever, that we are not a single nation, we have never been and will never be. And now.
We are 3 united Russian people in Little Russia, Belarus and Great Russia.
Yes.
We will always remain so.
Federal agent. In general, what can I say?
Ukraine will be Russian or deserted, that's what I can tell you.
Yes, you have perfectly shown who the Russians are, these Nazis, fascists and so on. You can see this very well in your example. I want to wish you the land of reinforced concrete and burn in it.